Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would like very much to continue on with the 31 days of cop films and gangster films from 1970 to the present. And so now I'd like to take this opportunity to focus on the gangster film genre. And I'd like to now, in that spirit, focus on a film from 1988. And it is a gangster film comedy. It's also a film about characters. It's also a film about relationships. It's also a film about identity and finding oneself after, say, trying to find one's independence and one's sense of self, despite all of the disadvantages being stacked up against one and all the external pressures and factors and people coming after you. Still, it's about a character who is trying to do the best that she can in trying to find out who she is or escape her sort of prior existence for, say, a new start, a new life, and one that is on her terms. And whether she will succeed or fail, and whether she will be able to do so, or whether there will be other characters that throughout the course of the film might want to stop her and want to have her return to her old life. That is something for you to witness and watch and find out as you watch this film. It is a film from the director Jonathan Demme, and it has a great cast. It has, for example, people like Mercedes Ruehl and Matthew Modine and Dean Stockwell and Alec Baldwin, and it stars the great Michelle Pfeiffer, who is so wonderful in this film. Married to the Mob. Married to the Mob. This is such a wonderful, delightful film in so many ways. Well, first of all, it is a film that is very solidly in the gangster film genre. It's rooted there. It's a story that is about the mobster life and various gangsters, and Angela, the Michelle Pfeiffer character, and she's married to particular gangster in this organization that we come to meet in the Long Island area, and centered around this very essential crime figure leader in this particular community, Tony. And this is the Dean Stockwell character. And through a set of happenstance and circumstances, we see that life, in many ways or from certain points of view, crumble before Angela's very eyes, and indeed before our eyes. And so we have to see her maybe retreat or escape, or perhaps another way of putting it, trying to see her maybe land on her own 2 feet and transform into something beyond that life and into something new, where she is staking a claim on her own, say, existence, and on her own identity, who she is and what it is that she wants. And so that means trying to make a move elsewhere. But while she tries to do that, and while she tries to preserve and protect those links to her close loved ones that she has, there are elements, other characters that seem to be trying, for whatever reason, whether it's through type of their own set of motivations, or maybe through a series of miscommunications or misunderstandings. Whatever the case may be, we have many sets of characters that seem to be trying in one way or another to get at this character played by Michelle Pfeiffer for whatever reason. So, for example, that means the setup of the Dean Stockwell character, and that means the setup, therefore, of Mercedes Ruehl and her presence. What a great combination they provide. And my goodness, Mercedes Ruehl always brings a type of almost a volatile liveliness to the scenes that she is portraying. There is a temper there, but that temper is always directed in this way that is serving her emotion, and it's always coming from a place that is not wholly not understandable. In other words, it is understandable, it is relatable in terms of what she's feeling vis-a-vis Dean Stockwell's character Tony, and what she perceives their relationship is between Tony and Angela. So that's not just truthful to the emotional core of those characters, but it's also very much a great setup for, as I say, misunderstandings and comic hijinks. And again, one of the great aspects of this film is the way that it sets up all these scenes and scenarios that oftentimes are premised upon the idea and notion of misunderstanding and making mistakes, but those mistakes lead characters to make these decisions that end up being very costly and very kind of uh, shocking in many ways. So, but that comic hijinks too adds to a sense of a very quick-witted repartee and banter, and it has a type of sparkling wit about it that's very reminiscent, I would say, of a classical Hollywood cinema, almost a type of quick Howard Hawks style of semblance and mannerisms that is also very beautifully timed in terms of its comic timing. And also the idea of a mistaken identity and misunderstanding, but also linking it to, as I was indicating earlier, a type of emotional core or truth, because these characters are about themselves, but they're also seeking or yearning, for the most part anyway, some kind of satisfaction or feeling of fulfillment in, say, some of the relationships that they are pursuing. And that's definitely true of the case of Dean Stockwell and his character, and what he perceives to be his own sets of emotions and desires, combined with a set of jealousy, which can lead to rage and anger issues to the max. And that's certainly the case too for Mercedes Ruehl character. And that could be also said for some of the other characters as well, maybe the Matthew Modine character and Michelle Pfeiffer character, and that relationship too. That also is premised on the idea of maybe misunderstanding or miscommunication or hiding the truth, and not necessarily, saying that one is one thing where indeed one is someone else. And so this idea of identity or mistaken identity, or not being truthful with identities, but then when the truth comes out, what will the characters do? So there is, amongst the carnage and chaos and comedy and slapstick hijinks, there's also the sense of a real connection to emotional truth and core that I think leads one to really engage, one as a viewer, really engage with this film and have fun with it and laugh out loud with it, but also go along with the characters and really sympathize and want to root for the characters like we do. And that is certainly the case for the main character, Michelle Pfeiffer's Angela. And she is so brilliant, so full of she is so full of life. She has this wonderful, great dimension about her. She is down to earth. She's vulnerable. She is scared when these very extraordinary circumstances seem to happen all of a sudden, almost all at once. And she's trying to make do with the situation at hand. There's this idea of peer pressure. There's this idea of living the life as a wife of a gangster, and what that is, and also that is part of, say, the genre expectation of a film in the gangster genre or category. But there also is commentary on married life, on marriage, and the idea of infidelity in marriage and what that leads to, and family and how that affects family, and how that affects one's sense of self and one's sense of wanting to find a type of independence, and how that independence too is expressed. It's not just, I mean, it's expressed in many ways, which is also a great example of how multidimensional and so multifaceted and so rich a character that Michelle Pfeiffer's Angela is. In other words, she expresses her own will and her own choice through trying to stake out a sense of independence by moving to a different place and trying to find a different job, and trying to make a living in the best way that she can, and trying to support the people that she needs to support, but also making choices in her, say, relationships and in her love life too. And that leads to the subplot involving Matthew Modine's character, and how that leads also right back in a very lovely circular way back to the genre expectations of the gangster gangster film, because we have there implicit or embedded in that not just the emotional core of what Angela is looking for, but also the idea of mistaken identity or hidden identities or hidden agendas. That also leads to this idea of the comic aspect of this film, but also turning to back to the gangster element because of the FBI investigation and the gangster element, and trying to get to the mob boss through this connection with Angela via her husband, etc., etc., etc. All this stuff leading back to that core. So I love how it goes in many places, but always remains true to the various genres and the various beats and emotional points that it makes, while also maintaining a sense of integrity with the characters. And that is due, I think, in great portion to the strength and fidelity of the performances. Of course, we have to mention, therefore, in that the great main performance by the great Michelle Pfeiffer. She is fantastic. She is dynamite. She is lively. She just comes off the screen like the legend that she is, and she's playing this character in a very almost modest way, in a way that doesn't shy away from showing us vulnerabilities, weaknesses, perhaps. But that is also for the sake of the character, because this is showing us a human portrait that is set against this backdrop of chaos and comedy and violence too. Don't get me wrong, there are some scenes of violence here as well, in keeping with this particular genre of cinema. But be that as it may, it is also to serving the sake of the characters, and that is therefore to show us, give us a glimpse of who they are, and thus through that we're able to hook on to their stories even more and want to root for them in the way that we try to when we get into the beginning, middle, and finally to the end of the film. And when all these plot threads come together, because there are a lot of plot threads going on here as well, it's linear, but it's also very multi-textured in terms of the various subplots, and they come together so brilliantly. It's really quite an ingenious construction of plot and character, and everything seems to converge to one climactic point so marvelously that it's a sight to behold, that it feels so fresh and it feels so alive, and yes, oh so entertaining, with also the great touches of directorial and cinematic flourish from the great artist and director Jonathan Demme. The way he uses shot composition and camera, the way he uses point of view shots, the way he uses a certain there's a particular movement of character coming into the face of Michelle Pfeiffer as she's turning in a chair, that is so iconic in terms of the camera movement. And we have here director of photography Tak Fujimoto as well. So this is all in all a great example of a fun time at the movies, a gangster film, a comedy film, a wonderful showcase for the performances, including of course the great Michelle Pfeiffer, and also a great example of the work of Jonathan Demme. And I have to say, on a personal note, this is another film that I kind of grew up on during the VHS days. And it was a film too that my mom really enjoyed. So it was something that she loved watching, and she and my mom and my dad would watch as well, and I would also get into it, and I was always so moved by Angela's story, and how it really is such a touching story. It's so touching, it's so moving, heartwarming, sad, happy, and because you really feel for her. You really feel for all the things that are going on, and a lot of times it's not her fault, but it's just she's victim to circumstance, but she still does the best that she can. And when she is pressed, when she is under pressure, we see what she is capable of. And so it becomes this wonderful celebration of character that is also so satisfying, and so has these great resolutions. And it's therefore, all in all, a wonderful, brilliant, and thoroughly entertaining work from Jonathan Demme, starring Michelle Pfeiffer. This is, of course, this film, Married to the Mob. Okay, my dear friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies Thank you so much, as always, for your time. I very, very, very much appreciate it, my dear, dear friends. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.